First of all, I'd like to thank everybody. Thank Dr. Sammy and the Chamber for allowing me to be here to speak with you gentlemen today. Just to kind of give you some background on myself, I'm born originally in California. In 2012, I got my DNA tested because I wanted to find out exactly what part of the continent my family originated from, and came to find out that we were the Yoruba nation out of Nigeria. And since then, I've been working hard to, in a sense, reclaim my roots, learn more about where I come from on the continent, my people, and reconnecting with brothers and sisters on the continent as well. And this is an outgrowth of that mission, which is why I appreciate and wanted to once again thank Dr. Samuel for allowing me to be here to speak with you. I've been enlightened and overjoyed by what I've heard as far as the mission, and knowing it feels good to know that I have people on the other side from in Africa that are interested in connecting with us here. My company is H2 Media Services. This is the baby of the product of our company. What we do is, in a sense, all kind of media services, from graphic design, app creation, and this app here I created in 2012 is called Bobspotter. What I'm going to be speaking on today is minding our business, strengthening our united business culture in the 21st century, and using technology to do that. So let's see here, some of my 5 points. So, like I said, my name is Hanief Saterfield. We're going to be talking about the current state of business. I'll give a few statistics. I'll then get into united business culture, some of the challenges that we face, as well as the opportunities that are available. We'll be talking about fortifying our future and in the use of technology in order to better fortify our future as businesses and as a diaspora, as the African diaspora in America and Africa as well. Then I have some party thoughts on just a few action items that we can take, how our company and the technology that we have created can be used to do just that, to create financially viable connections intercontinentally. So with respect to the current state of business, there's a wealth of opportunity, which of course this economic summit obviously gives attention to. Okay, with regards to black-owned business in America, there's been a 34.5 increase in the number of black-owned businesses in America between 2007 and 2012, according to the Census Bureau study of small businesses in America. There are currently 2.6 million black firms. That's actually a 2012 number. They have gone up since then, especially with the current climate. A lot of our brothers and sisters here have realized that we can't depend on jobs by themselves. We have to start getting into being self-determined and running our own businesses like many on the continent do. There's definitely a lot more single and partnership businesses on the continent than out here, and we are kind of, because we were brought here originally as servants, we went from the servant class to an employee class, and now we're kind of in the employee entrepreneurial class where we're transitioning into business. And with the financial viability that we have out here, we have seen that it's possible to be done, and the connections that we make can make everybody more financially beneficial, and our state within the city, within the country, and internationally improve. So we want to improve the state of that. When I say Bob's, I'm referring to black-owned businesses. The app is called Bobspotter, which is Black-Owned Business Spotter. What it is it's a directory of black-owned businesses in America. Unlike on the continent, black-owned businesses are spread out. Unless you ask around and know somebody, you wouldn't necessarily know where we are. So what we do is we database all of that information so that when our travelers and our users want to find a black-owned business in their area, they can do that easily in one centralized area. So if you look here, black-owned businesses create 1 million jobs out here in America. Now, of course, that only accounts for 4% of the working age black population, which is something that we're working on out here. We want to increase the number of employees that are employed by black-owned businesses out here, and that's one of the outgrowths of what our business is about. Annual revenue number I like, $187.6 billion. That's a lot of money. Now, a lot of that money is going out to other companies that come in, that I'm sure you're all familiar with, that come in and sell to us, but they don't necessarily, that money that they make doesn't necessarily benefit us, which is why it's a concern for us to increase the recycling of our dollars amongst our own, amongst the diaspora. And then the best and the most, the largest opportunity we see here is that according to the Census Bureau, Black buying power is forecasted to reach 1.3 trillion by 2017. It's a lot of money, a lot of opportunity. Our piece within that as Black business owners in the diaspora is very small, which means we have a lot of room for growth. Okay, there's a lot of room for growth to get a larger piece of the pie out there, and that's, you know, looking inwardly, similar to what Dr. Williams was saying earlier, as far as focusing inward, as opposed to trying to find aid and trying to find help outside of ourselves, going back into ourselves and depending on ourselves, which is something we want to do. And that $1.3 trillion shows us the potential viability of doing that. Now, some of the challenges we face is the lack of a centralized information on locations of Black-owned businesses and negative beliefs and stereotypes that have been socialized, I think, on both sides of the table, both on the continent and out here. We've been socialized to not do business with each other, kind of be in our own areas, whereas to not realize and recognize the power that we can have when we do a certain amount of business together. We don't necessarily have to live with each other and all, you know, be around each other all of the time, but if there's a financial benefit for us doing business and commerce with one another, we definitely can see the power in doing that, and that's also going to take breaking a lot of socialization that we have undergone since we were brought here, and the same socialization through television and media that has occurred and targeted to people on the continent. So the big question is, how can businesses in the African diaspora overcome these challenges? African diaspora, I mean, of course, African Americans, Africans all over the world. How can we overcome them? And our solution is a united business culture, okay? And with regards to how we're positioned, we want to use technology to, as we have a term out here called minding our business, which basically means tending to our own, developing our own, just like we do our own children. Yes, we want to save the world, but that starts with taking care of our own children and being that example that we can carry on to others, that others will emulate. And as business leaders, it is our job to show the common man, including our consumers, that if we can work together, then we will provide a model for them. And this generation, this younger generation that is coming up, they are looking for that. They understand that we're divided. And as long as they do, they're just going to perpetuate the same thing. So a united business culture is also going to help us socially, okay, amongst those that even that may not necessarily do business with each other, but how we interact with each other. All right. So what we want to do is use technology to promote financially beneficial interactions between businesses within the diaspora. So that's intercontinentally, correct? You know, cross-continental commerce is something that we want to work on. Dr. Sammy had brought it up earlier at breakfast with regards to, like Alibaba, being able to connect those who are doing business with suppliers, whether it be suppliers in Africa, where if I want to sell or I want to vend, you know, African garments and I want them to be authentic African garments, I should know where I can be able to directly go. Outside of right now, it's basically word of mouth. I've got to know somebody who knows somebody, and then find somebody to trust on that end that can send me the garments. With this app and with the united business culture, that should be a lot easier. Okay, it should be a lot easier for us to communicate with each other. Like they say in war, the first two things that you eliminate of your enemy is their communications and their logistics. Logistically, we still have to build that. In order to do that, we've got to communicate. And so we need to create things that are going to promote these financially beneficial interactions and communications to do so. All right. So I kind of break it down to make it simple: locate, patronize, advertise. Okay, I call it an LPA model. So in a sense, we want to make sure that we know where we're at. That's rule number one. If we don't know we can't do business with people that we don't know exist, right? Patronize, actually doing some form of business, even if it's on a small trial scale, so that we can create a relationship and build a rapport that can be long lasting and an example to others. And then to advertise, to, once we make these connections, promote those connections amongst other groups of people, okay? And within that culture, building that culture, it'll start off as being two things that we want to be focused and deliberate. Okay, a lot of times, if there are any cross-continental business done, it's almost on accident. Oh, I met this guy at my job and I found out that, he can supply me with Tacumbo cars that he can send back to Nigeria, right? Well, if there's an actual vehicle that is working to build those interactions when you're at work or when you're tending to your other business, email you to let you know, oh, if you're looking for Tacumbo cars, you can speak to this person. If you're looking for a supplier, if you're looking to buy them, you can speak to this person in Nigeria. They're reputable. One thing I've heard when speaking to somebody who actually deals with Tacumbo cars is, some people you can't trust, you gotta be careful as far as sending money and all of that. That just reinforces a lot of these stereotypes. Now, if we already have proven suppliers that we can put in this directory, then we'll already know where to go and we don't have to worry about taking those chances, and more people will be willing to invest. Okay, so like I said, we know where they are, knowing where these businesses are located, monitoring and databasing. One of the things that we live by saying is that which is monitored is managed. If you don't monitor your money, you're not going to manage it. You have to monitor it first. I always tell people, ladies who want to lose weight, first thing you need to do, just weigh yourself every morning. Like we read the paper to find out what the times are, what's going on politically, right? And that's the first step towards being able to do something about it. And that's where Bobspotter comes in. Our job is to monitor and database these businesses. I've been talking to different chambers of commerce, trying to get as many of the businesses in the database as possible, okay? Engaging in cross-cultural patronization, like I said, and then advertising, encouraging others to do the same. If we're focused and deliberate in doing that, it'll be financially beneficial to everybody involved, okay? How technology can help that case. And our app actually utilizes geolocation capabilities for databases, right? Bobspotter, the app, and you can download it. It's available in the iPhone App Store and Google Play for free. We provide for each business GPS directions, contact information, pictures, product and service descriptions. So you can, within that listing, all of the information, all of the questions that somebody would normally ask you, right, when they know about your business, is all there. So by the time they contact you, the interaction should be about closing the deal, as opposed, there should be very few questions asked, okay? And with these businesses being vetted, because we don't allow in our app for anybody to just go in there. You won't see an ad feature, a direct ad feature in the app. They have to be vetted. And amongst this community, if they're vetted, if I know if Dr. Sammy says, oh yeah, they're a member of the chamber, that makes vetting them a lot quicker, a lot easier. We can start with people that are part of membership organizations, because those people, they usually have a head, they usually have a database, and they usually have been vetted, and they've invested in being within the membership. So they actually are doing real business. So we do this. These are some screenshots from the app just to kind of give you an idea of what you see when you'll download it. This is the front screen here. It says hair, dining, but when you click all, there's a whole list all the way from doctors, lawyers, salvage yards, all kinds of categories. And we can always add new categories. I just added, matter of fact, one of the gentlemen from the chamber is our first office supply company. Okay, we just added him, and we're trying to find office supply companies in every single state. If there's some office supplies or anything that's made out of in another state that from a black-owned company within the diaspora, we want to make sure we database them. Here in the middle are the lists. So I think these is in entertainment, this is motorsports, wine. I think this is in the entertainment list, but this is an example of the listings. And then when you go to an individual listing, there, see how it says directions, call, visit website, you on Yelp. So all of the information for each business is databased in here, and most of the questions within the description that you kind of see some of here, up there is the description. That's kind of the bottom end of the description. but you can use to, put the question, answer most of the questions that may be asked. For local businesses, it may be, hours of operation, products and services rendered. In our app, we always offer discounts to our users. We encourage the businesses that list, because we want our users to feel like they're special for having the app, so we like to pass on some form of discount. And say, for instance, if you want to do some form of cross-continental business, you can always say, cross-continental business, call this special number if you want to, buy in bulk or engage in any kind of cross-continental trade or business. So, and then also within our app, there are a few other things that we have that they're in development. Well, these are databases now, but we have some outgrowths that are going to be coming from it. For instance, we have podcasts, which are basically online radio shows. They're audio shows that you can listen to online. So we have a database of podcasts. We have a video database from YouTube channels that are of interest to our community. And then we also have a social network within the app itself. So businesses that have listed themselves in the app can also advertise within the app. Or say, for instance, you're in Africa and you're looking for someone to do business within America that does a certain type of business, whether it's cars, whether it's some form of American good that is not available on the continent but may be popular on the continent. You can go in there and post and say, hey, I'm looking for this, get in contact with me. And we can also put those within the listing. If you'd like to get in contact with me about, like I said earlier, contact with our company about doing construction in Nigeria, contact me here, right? So, and with all of these three capabilities right now, what we do is we're databasing pre-existing podcast videos, and then we have our social net. But what we as Bobspotter are going to be doing is having our own video channel where we're going to be, and this is what part of this is all about as well. I do videography as part of H2 Media Services. We do videography, event videography. So we're using those capabilities to create, in a sense, our own online TV show. So, for instance, if you're dealing out of Africa and you want to do business in America, if you shoot something out there and send me the tape, I can edit it and then we'll put it in the Bobspotter TV channel, right? And that will be a place where everybody can look if they're specifically looking to do intercontinental commerce. So we can put together one area where you'll automatically know to go within the app and on the website as well. And so that's what our future's looking like. Our president is very bright, and we definitely are seriously very interested. I personally and business-wise am interested in bridging that gap over that water that the Middle Passage basically ripped from us. Let's see here. And one other thing we want to think about is what we call the conscious consumer generation, and that's these young, the millennials that are coming up in this current climate, especially with the social climate being the way it is. Self-determination and recycling our dollars within the diaspora is becoming a major concern for a lot of these young entrepreneurs that are coming up and the consumers. These young consumers are concerned with purchasing from those within the diaspora and having that choice, whereas before they might not have cared, they just wanted the lowest price. Now they're understanding that depending on other groups of people to supply their needs, sooner may be beneficial in the beginning, but sooner or later is going to have a negative effect. And so they want to counteract those effects. One thing about the consumer generation, they're young, enterprising, and they're culturally loyal. They're increasingly culturally loyal, right? This is somebody posted this inside the app. We have all of the black-owned banks within the app, every single last one of them. There's actually only one in all of Texas, it's in Houston. And this is it, Union National Bank. And what this person has said was, this app helped me find a black bank that I didn't even know existed in Houston, opening accounts today. So now she's brought money to this bank. That bank gives out loans, right? And so there's a cycle. Here's a perfect example of support paid forward. This is actually my old card because I bank at One United. They're actually the only one, they may be the only, but I know they're the largest black-owned bank, and they're one of the few, if not the only black-owned bank that you can open up online. You don't have to go and walk into you can go online and open up an account for $100 right now, get a bank card, and be ready to go. So you have this tweet. This is on July 27th, when everybody started moving. A lot of people in the diaspora out here had started moving their money to focusing their money on black-owned banks. One United Bank then, maybe a week later, this is September 1st, introduces a Unity Community Land Trust Home Loan Program. Okay, so now they're taking that money that they got and they're giving it out in the form of loans to other Africans and African Americans. So this is just, I put this up here to kind of show how that cycle can work for us. Now, if we have a construction company, right, a verified construction company in Boston, then we can send them to One United to bid for that contract. So that's how this circle goes, but it begins with us being focused and delivering, right? And this app can help do that. A lot of times we have to shake hands, we got to come to a lot of different things, but this app, the goal for this app and the more technologies that are going to be coming forth in the future is to galvanize everybody and take the struggle out of doing just that. You know, like we said, locate, patronize, advertise. These are some other, you know, people that are checking in, just showing some activity, people checking into many of the businesses, the black-owned businesses across the nation. I think this one's in Louisiana, one's in Texas, one's in Chicago. So we have I think between around 10,000 users total, and that's increasing every day, because I'm working hard to make sure it does just that. All right. So like I said, the future, podcast, video channel, web series, and then a community address that I give every month, where I essentially let the general public know about the new businesses in the app, new trade possibilities. So as we get into more interaction, as we get into more commerce, we want to advertise that. It's one thing to do business, and that's great, but if our children don't see us doing business, then they can't model what they don't see. And that's part of the issue and the reason why we want to do the video channels and the podcast, so that people can see us conducting ourselves the way that we want them to conduct themselves, so that when these young entrepreneurs that we should be grooming get to an age, get of age to really be able to do real big business, one, we have created a legacy of consumers, right, and a legacy of intercontinental commerce that is already there for them to just come plug and play, right? That's what we're trying to do. This is our goal over the next 10 years. We're really trying to ramp up the amount of intercontinental commerce we do. And in parting, like I said, we want to locate, patronize, and advertise our business with deliberate focus. Not by accident, but focus and deliberate. Okay, and measure. Like I said, we want to measure and manage these interactions. We must model the support for each other that we want to see from our customers, right? And for the future. And then we must harness the technology available to increase the efficiency and profitability of our businesses. Because at the end of the day, without the money, it's not going to work if it's not financially viable, okay? But it's something that needs to be done. And so I do thank you for your time. If you have any, I did leave cards on the tables. If you have any questions, you can definitely, you can ask me now, or we're going to wait until the next speaker goes and then do questions. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay. So I thank you for your time, and I hope to talk to you soon.